I think the thing that is really exciting about NVIDIA working with Lenovo on this project is it wasn't that long ago that in order to do something with high-end graphics and the kind of production capabilities we're looking at today would have taken millions of dollars, would have taken a huge render farm, would have taken many months of production, and a huge crew to support it all. I think what Gods of Mars shows is you don't need this gargantuanly huge budget to make something that is going to look big and impressive and amazing.
I've always wanted to direct a Star Wars movie, and this movie got the scope of Star Wars. But we're able to do it on a catering budget of a Star Wars movie. And there's something really kind of delicious about that.
Okay, they look like they're at the 9 altitude. Roger, bogey from Jake back into a now at 30 degrees.
3D content, whether it's CG films or games or VFX inside films, that's still limited to a very small class of professionals who can afford massive amounts of investment necessary to do the Avengers Endgame, to do Lion King. You just need a massive number of artists and equipment and all of that. We started integration of ray tracing into Unreal Engine since around the time I joined NVIDIA almost 2 decades ago. Since then, we've continued to work very closely with Epic in accelerating their render and bringing that to all of their licensees, so that many Unreal Engine games and other uses as well, like virtual production, can benefit from our cooperation. We're now on the cusp of making it so that anyone can potentially create something like a Toy Story.
This is the part where we blow up!
One of the things that a friend of mine at Pixar had told me recently, that if they had the machines today that they used to make Toy Story, that they would actually be able to render Toy Story in real time. And if you think about what that entails and how far we've come in such a short period of time with the technology that we're putting in the hands of everybody, and you're doing things that 30 years ago you couldn't have afforded in a lifetime, and now it's in your hands, it's on your desktop. So where's the next Spielberg coming from? Because he's got a lot of toys to play with.
Because Gods of Mars are doing so much game engine work, rendering multiple nodes of graphics and multiple layers of graphics becomes very, very computationally intensive. NVIDIA Quattro and NVIDIA graphics cards offer the best processing on board of any graphics cards available. They are the standard of the industry in doing game engine-driven production. And we are using it pretty heavily for ray tracing and for all of our engine processing. So they are key to the success of this project.
I actually think this future of filmmaking is going to be closer to the traditional way of making films. If you look at old Buster Keaton films, they did what was called in-camera effects. They worked for days and weeks to create the scene that you would see through the camera in order to do the effect. And they did it with matte paintings and they did it with layers. What you see today with real-time graphics and LED walls and virtual production sets is bringing the effects into the camera. So the director and the storytellers are getting to tell their story closer to what the audience will see in the end without having to take a guess and let the render team go off and do something. Real-time graphics is what makes that happen.
Ladies appear to be heading directly at us upcoming port.
Ray tracing has been around for a while, and it's what makes the dinosaurs look so real in Jurassic Park. That's like the first photoreal CGI. And that was done with supercomputers that cost $1 million for one computer, and then $1 million for the software to run that computer. So you needed $2 million if you wanted to make graphics that were photorealistic.
Boy, I hate being right all the time.
Rendering is a form of simulation, simulating how light interacts with matter. One of the earliest ones that we developed is ray tracing. It's a technique that you can use to build algorithms for these simulations. You can simulate virtually any aspect of light. Reflections, refraction, glossiness, caustics, all of these things can be done with this one basic primitive. You can think about this in terms of music. If you had a musician, somebody playing the keyboard, a piano, have to wait hours after they press a key to hear the results of that, it'd be a lot harder to compose a beautiful piece of music. Having it be real time and have that interactive feedback loop that you get from pressing the key and hearing the sound is critical in composing that. The same is true for the visual arts, is an artist doesn't have to manage risk. Every time they set off a render that's going to take days, they tend to be more conservative with the changes in their creativity. If they do something wrong, they're going to have to wait days to see it, and they're closer to their deadline. But if they can see the changes immediately, that opens up their creative possibilities, and they can take more risks each iteration.
Instead of spending $1 million a minute, which is how much a Pixar movie costs.
They want us to do it this way.
I don't know that way. Why would they change math? Math is math.
Okay,
Math
Dad.
is math.
One frame of a Pixar movie takes a day to render. And when I say render, I mean there's a render farm at Pixar. And it's a big, big room filled with hundreds of very expensive computers. And they are rendering. That's how Marvel action movies are made.
Assemble.
And that's how Star Wars movies are made. We just need one computer and one graphics card, and boom, we're able to build photorealistic worlds in real time.
I think what Gods of Mars are showing is the future of filmmaking is going to be in the hands of the storytellers. They're breaking new ground by taking technology, doing it in a way that's really going to help democratize it for the future of storytelling. I think it's incredible.
Making a movie that looks like a game is unacceptable. And that's why Hollywood hasn't adopted this technology up until this point, because it looked like a video game. But now, it just looks like life. It's just mind-blowing how much of a paradigm shift this is.